Welcome to the Comics Experiment, the show right here at the Comicstorian channel that airs live every Thursday at about 2 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Comicstorian, our podcast network where shows air every Tuesday and Thursday, and then gets uploaded right here to YouTube where you're probably watching this or listening to it on any of your favorite podcast networks because we upload to one thing and it disseminates. Awesome, huh? That's why I never know where it's located. Normally on this show, we do what I call the Comics Experiment, where we just pick something weird involved in the world of comics and try to make sense of it. Today, we're going to be discussing, is Avengers, well, Marvel's Avengers, gotten good? This sentence structure does not work. Has Marvel's Avengers gotten good? Boom, I did it. Yes, that's going to be our topic for today, and I'll be going into the two co-hosts I have today, as they're not my usual co-hosts for this particular show. But before I can get into that, this week's episode is sponsored by Honey, an online shopping tool designed to help save you money. Just go to joinhoney.com/experiment and get it for free. We'll tell you more about that in the middle of today's episode, but we also have a second sponsor. Our usual sponsor, G Fuel. If you want to get the insane amount of energy that I portray out here, it's from a lot of G Fuel and caffeine at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I crash hard at 3 p.m. And if you want to follow my example, chug G Fuel by using the code COMICS at checkout when you go pick out your favorite flavors. Fun fact, I just ordered this new Sonic one. It's like a peach rings thing. I don't know when they got it back in stock. I'll tell you if it's any good next week. So,
nice.
Let's move on to our guests of today. We'll be going to the guy who's going to need more time to talk about himself after. First, let's go to Dylan, the man with the blue hair, and the guy whose name I never get correct on our other channel. Dylan, where are you from?
Oh, you were referring to the bit that you do. Okay, I was like, what are you talking about? Hi, I'm Dylan. I'm from Texas? I don't know what you meant, but
absolutely Marvel and DC.
There was a 50-50 shot, and I went with the one that I thought would get a laugh.
It works.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm from the channel Absolutely Marvel and DC, among other projects. But yeah, if you want more of what you're gonna mostly see here today, which is me, Benny, and sometimes guests talking about not Avengers the game, but stuff in the MCU or the CW shows and stuff like that, then go ahead and on over to that channel. It's got me, Benny, Dan, who you know from this podcast, and Sal from Comic Pop. Those are the 4 regular hosts. So yeah, it's a good time over there.
Yep. And because today's topic is Marvel's Avengers, we got the one, the only, Duck Bob Weave. Messed your name up on purpose so you can promote it properly.
Nice.
Nice segue there. Actually, right. Hey everybody, I'm Bob. I'm a variety and creative streamer on Twitch. I also create content over on YouTube, guides, content, things for Avengers and other games and stuff. You can see me everywhere, pretty much. Just Google Bob Duck and Weave. It's really annoying because I tried to get, I was like, hey, I could do Bob Duck and Weave, and then it just didn't fit into any site. It's like, limit. You are one character over. Every
That's the
time.
best.
So, yeah.
Don't you love when you have like those classic games that for some reason still have like a 6-character limit on like a name, and you're just like, why?
Every time I do that, I think as a kid, I always used to go to the thing. It's just you type in the first part and you go, I'm not changing it. You're just gonna have that, and it's gonna look weird, and that's on you, game, not me.
I'm just picturing you trying to put Bob Duck and Weave, well, Bob Duck Weave into like Pokemon, and it's just like Bob D. Like
it's nice. Way worse when you realize how close D and F are together on a keyboard. Like, it's way worse.
Oh,
an S.
Oh,
an S.
Now I'll never forget your name, Bob Duck Weave, or Bob.
They're all dangerously together. Like, it's scary every day.
Have you ever considered like doing an unnecessary censorship with your own name, just like Bob Boop Weave?
Oh, wait a minute.
I have a lot of friends with very dirty minds. I do not need the censorship. It just happens.
You gotta start an OnlyFans with that name.
This would be a good idea. I keep saying I need to get like a bunch of domain names and just have them all direct to the right one just in case. But then it's sometimes, yeah, one of them should direct there instead. That would be a great idea. I'm writing that down.
Nice. I'll take 10% of the revenue from that OnlyFans, by the way.
I should totally do it and just do duck pics, because there is so much to be had there.
Oh, that sounds great.
That would be amazing. Just duck pic, and then just like
check
in the
out
middle of
mallard.
like 20 ducks, there's just one of you. Bob.
Just at the pond. Maybe you're in a duck costume.
This is all getting. This is getting very complex. I'm liking this. There's an idea forming here.
Over at Bob Duck Weave, are you the kind of streamer that does things for bits? Because I think your next bit goal should be like, I get in a duck costume.
Yeah,
that's a thing. But okay, do you want to see something?
Sure.
Yes.
We
Why
can
not?
do something. Okay, this is gonna be weird. I'm just preparing
Trust me,
you.
I know you don't know the show you're on, but you're not gonna make it weirder than normal.
Give me 2 seconds. I have to take my headset off.
Okay.
well, there's just silence here. It's like, oh, okay.
Okay, now how do we get him to do the rest of the show like that?
Just very aware
Incredible.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
I just want to know
Should we just
how
do
we
the
get
whole
you to do
thing?
the rest of the show like that.
Well, I could do that, or I've got the other one. I could. This one's much more.
Aw,
amiable.
Okay, yeah.
it waves.
It gets
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, it's got the whole thing going.
That's fantastic.
I'm gonna try and pretend to be mildly professional rather than just randomly putting duck hats on all the time.
Oh, you obviously don't watch anything we do.
Yeah, notice how we're like 8 minutes in and we're completely just not on topic.
It's a running gag at this point. I'll
That's
say
me.
what the
That's
topic
me.
is,
I'm so sorry.
and then we get to it eventually. It's just how that's how a podcast.
It's a podcast.
Works.
Yeah, it's free flowing.
It's basically what you do on Twitch, but you just don't put the game in. You just
No game. We just talk about a game. We don't actually play the game.
right. That'll be another time. We'll do that another time. All right. Well, let's get into pseudo-era topic. Before I wanted to get into discussing Marvel's Avengers, I wanted to talk about our history with Marvel video games. So let's go ahead and kick off with you, Bob. How long have you been playing Avengers, and do you play any other Marvel-related games?
Well, yeah, okay, so I actually started, the first time I actually played Avengers, I actually was lucky enough to play it at Gamescom. I somehow managed to blag my way into the press area, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go play this Marvel game, because I like games and I like Marvel, so this should work for me. So, kicked my way into there, and spoke with the team, and actually got a chance to play the bridge level on the game for the first time, and I threw Thor's hammer, and I thought, this is like God of War, but Marvel, and yes, sign me up. So I actually, that was the first time I played it, literally right from games. I'm trying to remember. Years are weird now, aren't they? So 2018, I want to say it was 2018.
Yeah. Because I'll say when I get to my turn. But
it was likely early 2020.
Yeah.
Probably either early 2020 or very late 2019.
I think it was late 2019, like October. I think around that. About
Yeah,
that
because that's
time,
when they
like,
were
yeah.
sharing it. Because I got to play it at PAX South, which I think is January.
Of 2020,
Yes.
it would have been, because
2020,
the official announcement we'll get into this. I have all the dates so that I know them like exactly. But 2019 E3 of 2019 was when the game was fully revealed, and people at E3 got to play it, and then at subsequent shows it was played. So
it was around about but I think I've been playing it since then. I've been talking to the team since then. I'm a massive. I'm not actually into looters, which is super like weird because like for a game that's obviously dropping loot, like a big looter game. But we'll get kind of.
Yeah, we'll get more into that. You're free to talk about whatever. It's fine. It's just, remember, we'll loop into that again.
But yeah, no, I've been playing it since then. I kind of fell in love with it. Just I really wanted a AAA Marvel game for such a long time. That was like this. That was a live service. I know a lot of people were against the live service, but I wanted something as a content creator that I can delve into. And keep playing, and you just have that replayability. So that was always my focus, and I'd always said for a long time that was the game that I wanted to create content around before, probably a bit preemptively, but before everything and all the information dropped about the loot and how the end game was going to work. It was something that I knew I wanted to. If it works, I knew I wanted to like get involved in that. So I've been playing since then. I think I had at least like 48 hours in the beta. Like I basically played over the I basically didn't sleep, so I was a big fan of it then. So yeah, I've been playing since then.
I played the heck out of that beta too. I was super excited about it. But let's go to Dylan first because I have a tendency to talk. So
sure. So I didn't know about this game when it was first like teased way back. It was first teased in 2017, and I had no idea about it, but I had started to hear rumors about it like going into E3 of 2019 when it was like fully announced and revealed. And I remember like me and pretty much everyone else on the internet were just confused at like what the hell the game was. Because they were very unclear about that. Yeah. But I started playing it on the closed beta for PS4, and I really, really fell in love with it. I was impressed with how fun the combat was, and how fun it was as a game to just kind of play in the background while you're like talking to friends or doing other stuff, which is kind of where it's continued to be for me. But I played it then, and I played I think I played all of the betas, because there were like 4 of them, some for PC, some for the consoles, closed and open. But it was a good time. I enjoyed it. I have been playing it not consistently since launch, but I have like 300 or 400 hours in it. So there have been times where it's been the only game I've been playing. And that's mostly been like a content drop happens and I play it like religiously until I realize that I'm going towards nothing. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go play something else now.
I will vouch he's been playing it nonstop, and he doesn't invite me, and so have I. So,
well, nobody was playing. There was the period where I made that like 400-hour stint in playing the game. Like most of that time was during the droughts of content where no one was playing it.
And we all did abandon you for PlayStation for a little while.
That's true. Yeah, I was the only one I knew on PC. I had like one other friend who like just his computer didn't have enough space to reinstall it, so he just couldn't play it with me. And I was like, all right, well.
So for me, I was like Bob here early on, and we're both actually, just as to let it all out there, we're a part of like the VIP creators kind of a thing. And I've watched you chatting it for a while. There's like 3 of you guys that never stop talking for the entire year. And I've always had that as one of my top discords that I just lurk. I'm just the creepy guy lurking, watching what's going on, waiting to know when news is going to drop. But I'm a huge fan of looter shooters, and I'm a huge fan of raiding and stuff like that with my buddies. So for me, like you said, Bob, this was the game for me. Like, I get a lot of people want that single-player story, but the issue I have with single-player stories is I beat them once, maybe a second time, and they're shelved. But as something I can continually get on with my buddies and just keep playing indefinitely, even if we're just passively. To this day, I still play Final Fantasy, Destiny, and all these other games that are multiplayer. I don't even care what I'm doing in it. I'm just hanging out with friends. That's all it is. It's the equivalent of me going to the bar with my buddies back in the day. So for me, once all my friends dropped off after the original launch, because some of them hung on because we were all waiting for that raid. Like that, when it launched and we were like, the raid, we just truck through. They will fix it and we will raid. It'll be great. In months and months and months, and we just kept leveling and there was no end goal, and the raid they just stopped mentioning it. Like,
Yep.
I pretty much, they quit, so I was on my own, and I would only come back for each of the content drops to play with Dylan, because we did both Kate and Killent for various reviews and things like that. And then I abandoned Dylan because my other buddy Houston was like, let's play it on PlayStation. So I was like, Dylan, play it on PlayStation. He goes, no. I'm too leveled. Have fun.
Too much time into it. Also, looks better on my computer, so.
I won't tell you what I play on then.
I mean, I don't care what you play on. It's just what I play on.
Because I have it on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and I'm now in the process of leveling everything to 150. It's an addiction for me.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm pretty close, to be fair. I think everyone, like, the lowest level guy I have is my Thor at, like, 138 or something. So, like, it's, I'm right there with you.
Well, so I ended up coming back after the PlayStation. We leveled up Kate and Clint over there just because we were like, yeah, we're going to go to PlayStation, and all our buddies are probably going to go to PlayStation, and we're going to play it on PlayStation now. And then no one came to PlayStation. So we came back to PC recently, like a month and a half ago. And the XP change, which we'll go over real soon, really was hurting it for us to come back to it. Because like we just leveled on PlayStation. We were trying so hard in PC. We just couldn't get there. So this weekend recently that passed was like finally like, we're just going to sit down with the Cheetos and the Mountain Dew, and we're just going to get this done.
Love those kind of sessions.
But for me, like you, Bob, I like Marvel. I also play Marvel Strike Force. I also play Marvel Future Fight. No,
you do? Same.
I do. Yeah, I do play Future Fight. What's the new one? Future Revolution? I don't know about that one.
There's so many of them.
Yeah. Because Future Revolution just looks like it's Marvel's Avengers again, but not as good.
Interesting.
Not as good, and I think there's some interesting practices there. Definitely, I play Future Fight, so I know what Netmarble are doing. Like you can see, you know what there is definitely like, you look like a good money bag.
They're so bad about it on Marvel Strike Force, which is actually why I wanted to mention these other two games. We don't have to go deep into them because this is about Marvel's Avengers. But I do think some of the practices have carried over to Marvel's Avengers, and we'll discuss that when we kind of get into that a little bit nitty-gritty. Well, right now, I guess. But like I play a lot of mobile games in general, and the style of games that Future Fight and Marvel Strike Force fall into. And I don't know what the mandate is, but there's definitely we have the Avengers and you'll pay attitude that comes out of some stuff that they do. You know, like, and I don't. How do you guys feel? Do you feel that Marvel's Avengers has fallen into that groove of we have the Avengers, you'll pay. Here's the money option.
I personally think, and somebody asked me this question, and I love the game, and I still play the game today, and I'm probably going to play it after this, so I'm probably going to, because like reset days and everything. But I definitely think if we had this game and it did not have the IP attached to it, it would have been gone a long time ago. In the state that it's been developed in, and what it's been, it wouldn't have lasted this long. I think we are very much in that realm of, hey, I want this Marvel game to succeed, so therefore I will stick with it. So yeah, I definitely do think there's an element of that. I don't feel like it's along the lines as being, I'm probably using a strong word, but as like trying to be exploitative, but I do think it's a very big part of its DNA. If it didn't exist, then if it didn't have Avengers, it probably wouldn't be where we are now. We're probably looking like an Anthem scenario.
Anthem or Battleborn is another one that came out that was supposed to be like this long form title that, hey guys, didn't work, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% onto something there, because like even like if it was exploitative, like it would be like one of those app games where they just shell out stuff from the comics constantly. Like they clearly, Crystal Dynamics kind of cares about like the Marvel properties, and they want to take time to like have everything that they introduce make sense in a story. And have things like slowly come out and have like this cohesive world that actually feels like a world that you're living in. But it's, you know, like talking about it as like their business is clearly the marketplace. Well,
they're giving away the content for free, which we'll discuss when you go through the patches, but they're giving away the base content for free.
Right. So like you got to make your money somewhere. And I do think like a lot of the cosmetics are a little more overpriced, but they actually just started last week doing bundles, which seem to be a pretty good deal. So far, like the one that came out literally today, as the time we're recording this, is like you get 8 of they're like 700 credits, so $7 cosmetics. You get 8 of them for $23 instead of
that. I don't even play any of those characters.
Fair. But like that's a good deal, and if that's like because last week they did another similar thing with legendary skins, which they didn't have any like discounts if you already had bought some of them that were in the bundle. So that's a little like fix that. Maybe.
They did.
But they did?
Yeah. I already had a bunch of them. I was only missing 2 of the skins, and I think I spent 400 credits rather than the full.
They need to make that more transparent then.
I wasn't sure, but it looked like I didn't own any of them, so I was like, I don't think I own these. Ka-ching!
Yeah, I owned like 3 of them, and it said the same price that it did on like the news update thing. So I don't know, like maybe my game is just weird, but
I know that was actually bugged. So that's just from being as I said in the Discord, that was initially bugged, and unfortunately, that's probably a conversation as well for later. But yeah, no, I think. You said the $23 as well, which I thought was really interesting. Like I saw that one just before jumping on, and it's down from 56 if you buy them individually.
Right.
So 56
which that's
to 23.
Solid. Like that's a good and that's like that's a price that like $23 for what is it, 8 skins? Like that's not terrible. But like $14 for one, maybe no.
I will say, because I play a lot of live service games, it does fall in line with the market, but that doesn't mean the market's right. I don't agree with that being the situation. Destiny likes to do that thing too, where they're like, okay, so here's the latest skin pack for your character, $15. Is that okay with you guys? And you really debate it, but
it's another thing where like you need to make it feel worth it, and I feel like the MCU skins are a step in the right direction in that department,
Yes.
where like they are actually like new models with detail and time put into them, and they look good because they're just being modeled after the MCU, which
I love
already
Thor.
looks good.
Thor looks so good.
His cape is great. Like that's
Yeah.
a great example of that's like new. That's
Until
a
it
very
glitches
new
and goes
thing.
down the front. Then it's weird.
Yeah.
Don't turn around and everything will be fine.
Yeah, I think they're like you know, the Reddit I visit often, and there's been a million ideas posted there, like the legendary skins being able to like swap weapons, like Captain America on his skin, he has a different shield. So maybe if you buy that, you get the shield that you can swap on to different things. So they're, you know, just adding more value into like a big purchase like that.
I mean, I would say I'd love it if they would at least separate the heads from the body, because like I don't like
Yeah.
Thor's helmet. I want just
Right.
Thor with the hair. You know, I'd prefer that, and so many of the outfits would be so much better.
And that's like the weird thing too is, especially with helmets, is they already have that technology, because in cutscenes sometimes they just remove Cap's helmet, or they remove like
Or his
Tony's
face
helmet or
sometimes.
stuff. Yeah, or they remove the physics that keep his
the
face in
launch
place.
skin. Oh gosh.
I'm okay, look, for the record, as much as the three of us love the game, guys, there was going to be little jabs, because they became memes. They became
Yeah.
memes.
I mean, the state of this game for the first like 4 months was that most people could not play it
Yes.
at all. So
I actually had to have a 2-month stint because I had a hyper-specific bug that was specifically on my game that I could not gain loot above 115, and I was already 120.
That's
I was
rough.
getting 120 drops, and then all of a sudden it was 115, just solid. And I left it for 2 months. I like full on just went, okay, well, I'm gonna come back. I love this game and I want to work, but there is no way I'm gonna consistently create content for a game that I can't progress in. So I'm going to take a step back. But
what a buddy that plays with me and Dylan on a lot of games, Shank, he actually was unable to progress the story. The Thor mission where Thor comes back, none of the enemies would spawn. So he just couldn't do
such
it.
a good mission as well. I love that one.
He fought, it was so funny because the
Narratively.
other day he got back in and he's like, all right, so you guys got me to try the game again. I've reinstalled it. Let me see if the story works. And that mission kicks up, and the whole time he's like, Thor's amazing. This mission is so much fun.
Oh, I love
Because
it.
it also bugged where it wouldn't let him use Thor in multiplayer because he couldn't do that. It was such a weird bug.
right.
And
Dude,
I couldn't
I feel
find any
pain for that.
information on it, so he just couldn't get it fixed.
Thor's like end game, like literal god material. So
Yeah.
not having him in the multiplayer, that's killer.
So, all right, well, we're going to get more deeper diving into what our opinions have been over the last year and what's going on. But for those who are unaware of the state of the game, Dylan, I had you look up a list of what's come out so we can kind of talk about. So basically, for those who don't know, the original leaks stated once every month. And there was some hearsay from the developers that there was going to be some kind of monthly thing, which I think led to the leaks happening and everyone going, they must mean a character.
Yeah.
Like,
It was an assumption being made that there were around 12 characters data mined.
Yeah.
And the developer said we will have monthly content drops, so people put 2 and 2 together and we're like, a character a month.
yes. Which
So-
they have come out and said in some of the things that Bob and I have gotten to see, where they've literally said that was all leaks and hearsay and that was never
Right.
intended. So, but what did come out? Because it came out super slow, which I think really hurt this game. Because we're still in a state where it doesn't work entirely, and we'll get to that in a minute. But
So yeah, I've got a list here of stuff. I have exact dates so that we can see like just how fun the life cycle of this game has been so far.
and
So-
Bob, you've stuck it out. Other than that 2-month gap, you've been on all of it, right? Just
Yeah.
on that
100%.
wheel, waiting for the next patch.
Just riding the hype for a very long time. Staying on that wave.
I've seen content creators do things like, I'm going to stick it out with Minecraft, and then when it gets big, just honest question: are you hoping that Wakanda's that moment for you? That you're the guy because Wakanda blew up?
I mean, I'm always hoping that in general, right? Like, if any content creators are just like,
Sure,
dude, I'll take any. No, I honestly, I want it to be this game, and I want a honest opinion. And we might want to go. You might want to go in this a little bit. Like, I don't think Wakanda is going to be a lot of what a lot of people think, but I do think it's a massive step in the right direction. But there's a fundamental issue with the game, which is the loot.
Yeah, and we'll get deeper into that in a second. We'll go, because that's gonna be the state of the game. All right, so Dylan, go for it. Sorry, I derailed before, as you were like, here we go, and I derailed it. Well, that's usual for us, so.
Yeah, so January 26, 2017, so a long time ago at this point, the teaser trailer for, it was like a minute-long teaser, dropped, just basically announcing that Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics are working on an Avengers game. Cool. We heard nothing until June 9th, 2019.
You're referencing the teaser that was like the shield, the hammer.
Yeah, it was just slow images of CG stuff. Nothing was like ready to show. So 2019, June 9th, at the Square Enix presentation, it was fully announced with a May 15th, 2020 release date. That was pushed back. We'll get there. And then a month after that, in July, July 29th, the Hawkeye was announced, and they said tentatively around November he was going to come out. And then like a few days after that, August 3rd, Spider-Man gets announced via Twitter with PlayStation exclusivity.
Wasn't that a leak initially that they just turned into, fine, we'll announce it?
I think PlayStation was just like, check this out, and they just announced it. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, same. It was, I think I could just imagine the Square Enix or a Crystal Dynamics employee just going,
huh?
Yeah. I might be wrong, but if I remember correctly, it was some retailer posted the PS4 copy had exclusive Spider-Man.
With the little...
Yeah. And and that led to them just being like, fine, here it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still haven't really heard much about that, but...
That's another talk.
It is what it is. And then August 7th to the 9th was the first beta weekend. That was the closed beta for PS4 and Xbox One. And then there was the last war table before launch was on August 31st, 2020. And they announced Kate Bishop at the end of that with a tentative launch date for October. And then September 4th was the actual official release of the game. So... they kind of went quiet after this for about a month.
Which was, I think, personally, I think was their first big mistake.
Right. Yeah. Because the game was in a state of disarray. In response to the beta, like, there were a ton of bugs with the beta and, you know, people not being able to play it, crashes, slowdown, all that. Especially once the PC, like, people got a hold of the PC version of the beta. So October 15th, 2020, they release a blog, which is, they just called it like a state of the game. And the whole thing basically reads like an apology letter, where they're just like, hey, we messed up. Sorry. Here's a bunch of, credits and units and stuff. And they explained a little bit about how COVID affected the development of the game. And I don't think they specifically said that Kate was being delayed, but it was pretty much like, it's the middle of October now. She's not here. Like, it is what it is. So I think like a week or two after that, they announced that Kate Bishop would be coming out with the Taking Aim operation on December 8th of 2020. And that update was just Kate with a few new missions, story missions, and that was it.
Yeah, I didn't like that update too much. I like the character and I like what it has now become, but it was such a small update.
Right.
Like we'd all been waiting forever.
I think, like, I don't know about you guys, but Kate, for me, out of the two characters that we've gotten since launch, is definitely, like, shows what they can do with these characters, and I think is the most fun, just because, like, the game's strong suit, in my opinion, is the combat. Like, the people who are making this combat, it's Vince Napoli. Like, he's the guy who did God of War. Like, that he knows what he's doing. Like, the combat is solid in this game, and Kate is a great representation of that.
No, I think you're right there. The one thing that every time I talk to somebody, especially because a lot of people are playing it now, and they're like, okay, free weekend, jumping in at the recent free weekend. And the one thing, the commonality between everything is I love how it makes me feel. It makes me feel like I'm a superhero playing this.
Yeah.
The combat has got it right, and that I like. That's a great thing to hear as a fan of the game, because you're just like, yeah, this is what I feel. That's the hammer throwing and feeling the vibration in the controller, or just generally just like, okay, this looks really cool. Like that is definitely the best bit for me.
I mean, sure. I agree 100%. The gameplay is your standard live service loop. I mean, I play Destiny because the gunplay is fun. I don't play it because the missions are so incredible. And it's kind of the same thing with Avengers. Like, go free the Inhumans. How many Inhumans do they have, man?
This is the same guy.
Yeah, Theo, come on. Are you just warping them back? It's all about the combat. I'm just picturing Theo when you leave. For those who don't know, Theo's the basically Nightcrawler. He's the Inhuman that teleports in and teleports out, so that's the excuse for whoever you rescued. I'm just picturing... You rescue someone, he teleports them away, and the moment you're out of sight, he's like, all right, get back in that cell. The next round is coming
I think
through.
he just takes them to the next cell, so every time you go, it's like musical chairs kind of deal.
But yeah, the combat is amazing. I remember making that comment the other day because I did Black Widow at launch, I leveled up Kate, I worked on Clint a little bit, and I just finished up Thor, never mind my PS5 stuff, but I just made the comment, like, I like everybody here except Hulk. Like, everyone but Hulk feels right, but we'll talk more in depth about that soon. But
I think, just as a side note, Hulk is terrible until you get him to max level and you build him right.
Thor was actually
literally
terrible
about to say that. Literally about to say that.
Yeah.
Thor, I found boring as hell, and then I'm at max level, and I'm like, look at me!
Totally. Before we get into the Hawkeye stuff, there was a small little thing in March 3rd after, like, nothing happened. They were just fixing bugs and stuff after December.
But they were
March
consistently
3rd,
doing that, which I do appreciate.
Right, which is
keeping
good.
us in the loop.
Yes.
The one thing about that I think is quite interesting, and why I think that especially that piece was like so long as well. Like when we saw it at the beta, and one of the things I found really interesting was when they were reporting on it and it kind of gave me a bit of an idea as well, and I don't think a lot of people saw this because they are very, if you want to find out this stuff, you really got to delve into the game, right? You don't have any of those on-screen things going, hey, we fixed this, we fixed that, we fixed this. It was just kind of like, you have to go find that information. That was always a gripe for me. Like, they just shut down, went quiet. You didn't have this info. You had to delve into it. And if you were interested in the game as a content creator, great. But as a casual player, which obviously casual players, like as much as anybody, like any pro or any like content creator might disagree with it, they are the ones who are going to keep the player base going because you need to keep them engaged. They won't find that information. I think one of the weekly blogs had over 1,000 bugs fixed. Now that's great stuff to hear. But if I'm not seeing that stuff, I don't know about it until I dive back into the game. So I think that was great they were doing it, but...
I do think you made a bad example there, because that 1,000 bug fix one like hit Kotaku and everyone because it was so many bugs being fixed.
Yeah,
but every other one,
that particular case, but yeah.
The 1,000 bugs made the headlines because everyone's like,
yeah,
what
in all the wrong ways.
Bob F. Weave, what?
Well, that's another like double-edged sword, right? Is like if you because like something that Overwatch does is they have like when patch notes are out, it's like a big shiny button that you can click in game to see the patch notes in game. Yeah. And that's something they could add to Avengers, but also like when all of your patch notes are just fixing broken things about your game, it's like, whoa, this game is broken.
Yeah, well, that's the issue, and we'll get deeper. Like, let's finish the notes, and then we can just deep dive into everything, because that's the free form portion of our show.
Yeah, so something, this isn't like a big content drop, but I wanted to mention it because it's something that a lot of people are upset about, and I think understandably so, is on March 3rd, 2021, they announced that they would be doing a rework to the cosmetics and the XP. XP is still a thing that's in effect. They basically just put a scale on it, so the higher you climb, the more XP you need to continue that climb, which is a very standard thing. It really just seems like that was an unfinished feature that they didn't get in by launch. But the cosmetic thing, they basically decided for some reason that they wanted to remove the random element to getting cosmetics in game, which was basically there were two ways to get cosmetics. You would pick up these like fabrication things that you would bring to a vendor, and then they would give you a random cosmetic for that. You would get those in like DNA chests from vaults and stuff and other random locations. And then there was also Chastity on the Helicarrier, who is a vendor that you could buy random cosmetics from that reset on a daily and weekly basis. They removed the ability to get those fabrication things from the chests temporarily. as a way to rework the cosmetics because they wanted to remove the random element from it. That was in March. And now you can buy all of those cosmetics for real money. And we've heard nothing on the cosmetic rework since then.
Where's my tinfoil hat? I'm going to put that on for Look, I'm in that Discord. I love the game. I want to support them, but I have two tinfoil hat theories of what happened there. One, they were publicly stating they lost money and they needed to recoup money. So they were like, we just need to get more cosmetics into people's hands. And we'll rework it. We've mentioned that, but make them buy them until then. We literally already talked about how these games make money, and I think they were a little too generous with giving out the cosmetics in game, considering you don't have to pay for anything other than cosmetics. So I do think that one is very much a money-driven decision, just to drive cosmetic sales up until they can potentially redeem the game, get Wakanda out, and get more people playing the game. The XP, and I didn't think about this before, the excuse on the XP grind was, we want you to spend more time with each ability so you know what they all do. On paper, that makes sense. That does. Like, from a guy who plays a lot of games, from tabletop to regular game, any game I can blitz through a skill tree, I won't know half of those things. I won't know what any of them do. So I get that. The issue is what Dylan said to me the other day, and that's what made me think about this. He said, I think you can buy the XP buffs in the store. And that made me go, right, XP buffs. Now, they're not for sale, and I have a feeling that they will be after Wakanda.
Right. They like rotate in. They're like, you can only buy XP buffs when we want you to, which is weird, right? Like,
I've only ever gotten the free ones. So I don't even know if you can buy them.
They're only ever free, So that's been my major concern throughout the entire thing with how Marvel games approach this sort of thing. And there's always, outside of this game, there's always a element of pay to win at some level, varying levels. But for this one, and I was really happy about is having, okay, cosmetic only. All of this is optional. You don't want to buy it, you don't have to. You could literally pay for the base game, and then all the DLC is going to be free. That we know of, at least for the first year. They've confirmed that all that will be free. As soon as they did the consumables, I was like, hold on a second. Right. And my thing was, and as we said, we were in the VIP Discord, and I've publicly said this as well. I've constantly been saying, will you be charging for these things? And so far, all we've had back is we are only giving them away for free for now, but we are looking for ways to make them earnable in game. Now, the wording was very specific. Like, hey, this is the wording. This is the wording. So I'm always like, hold on. Are you saying you're giving them away for free for now, and then we'll be charging them in the future? Or the earning them in game is the next piece, and that's the only other piece to that puzzle? Now, if that's true, love that. Right. Absolutely love that. Because you can encourage people to play more to get the XP boosts and do that. Therefore creating a loop of actually creating extra play time, which I think is great. If you start charging for them, that's when we start getting a little bit murky, because that's again on this pay to win, even though it's a PvE, but this kind of pay to win style.
Oh, I mean, it's always been a debate with live service games. Have they made it so grindy you have to pay for the bonuses? And that's always a great example is Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft loves to put out Assassin's Creed, and an Odyssey. If you didn't pay for that XP boost, you were running around killing things for no reason, trying to get leveled up. Valhalla made it a little better, but anytime a game puts in an XP boost, you always question, what would the game be like without that XP boost? It doesn't matter what the game is. This isn't even a direct stab at Avengers. And I do feel like the cosmetic change in the XP boost is a way for them to revamp the monetization scheme down the road. They're prepping, they came out, they had a terrible launch. They've realized they need a better monetization scheme because they're not charging for content, and you can't go back on that. That would have so much more uproar. So they're prepping for different monetization schemes down the road, which include XP bonuses, different ways of getting cosmetics, that kind of a thing. So,
yeah.
But once again, tinfoil hatting. This is no confirmation, no discussion, no nothing. This is all. Maybe we're wrong, maybe we're right. But anyway, continue, Dylan.
Yeah, use your own judgment. But the fact is, that happened in March, and it's August now. So, anyway. A couple weeks later, March 18th, 2021, Future Imperfect comes out, the next operation. This was a huge update. This is clear. This was the day that I think like most people playing Avengers were like, oh, okay, they're getting back on track. Because this was they were hyping this up because this was the PS5 and Xbox Series versions of the game came out. We got the new zone with the Wastelands. We got Hawkeye. We got Maestro as a villain sector. Campaign replay and custom harm rooms also came out with this update, and a new enemy, the first new enemy, the Loot Goblin, Cargo Runner, Synthoid.
I get so excited when I see him.
Fun.
Oh my gosh, you watch that little dude spurt out loot? Oh,
he runs.
Something else. Get him, he's getting away.
And then also on this day was the first content roadmap, which had March marking Future Imperfect, obviously. And then it just said spring for Tachyon Anomaly and Run Room Takeover, and then summer and beyond was Cosmic Cube, Wasteland Patrol, and the War for Wakanda expansion. They were very careful not to say specific dates, or even months, because that has clearly bitten them before.
Very, very smart move, I feel like that was.
Right.
It really was, because I could picture that marketing meeting. How do we announce things and not announce things?
Yeah.
I think it was actually very smart how because like if you actually look at it, they have every month they kept to their original promise, albeit a little late, but they did do each month, right?
Yeah, and that was the thing is like at this point, like before this date, I think it was very easy as a fan of this game or a detractor of this game to be like they completely wasted the launch. They're not doing anything anymore. But now, now that we're on the other end of this content roadmap, which I'll get to the specific dates of it, it's clear like they did actually take that time to make sure that they could release stuff on a monthly basis, and prepare for bigger drops like Wakanda, like the Cosmic Cube.
I got a tinfoil hat for that too. Hold it, tinfoil hat back on. I feel like they've been working on more characters than they've told us about, because if Wakanda takes off, they'll have content ready to just start dropping. But once again, tinfoil
Don't
hat.
do that. Don't give me hope.
There is. I don't know how you guys feel about leaks or data mining. Do you know anything about
We don't
the
mind
data mine
discussing them, but I like to take them for a grain of salt. That's
Okay. There is definitely information that would lead to people believing that, for sure.
100%.
That exists.
I mean, I've seen a lot of the fake roadmaps that people have put up now. Here's my version of year 2.
That's I don't call them fake. They're just the dream
Those are
balls.
fun.
Let people dream.
I looked at
But there's
one of
also,
them,
like-
and I was telling a buddy about one of the fake ones. I thought it was real. I'm like, dude, it's got War Machine, and we're getting Winter Soldier, and we're getting holy shit, why wasn't this announced? And then I'm like, and we're getting Captain Marvel. And then I'm like, fan
Fake.
rendering. Damn it, ignore everything I just told you.
But I mean, it's clear, like even in game, like we're obviously gonna get Captain Marvel at some point because of the story and where it's going. Something's happening with Ultron because of the story and where it's going.
Yeah.
Like there are things that are obvious, like clearly they're working on, that you don't even need to data mine to do. But like, yeah, the very early data mine, like pointing towards those like 12 characters that we mentioned earlier. Those could easily be fully fleshed out characters that they are planning on releasing, or it could just be like NPCs that are going to show up for a little bit, like Hank Pym, like stuff like that. But anyway, so that content roadmap, like everyone had been asking for that, and they very smartly didn't stay to any specific dates. But the next month, April 22nd, 2021, we got the Tachyon Anomaly event, which, with that patch, also introduced animated nameplates to the marketplace. And that was basically just a small series of chain of missions introducing Tachyon Rift missions, which were just the timed missions, and also the ability to play as multiple heroes.
I've seen a lot of love and hate for the Tachyon Rift missions. Like,
Yeah, I hate them.
I love them.
I love them.
There's just too much happening. It hurts my brain. Anyway, so the next month after that was supposed to be Red Room Takeover, which was the other thing in spring. But they gave us like surprise extra content. From May 6th to May 20th, we got the Ruskaya protocols, which was basically just a mission chain like prelude leading into Red Room Takeover that gave you some exotics and stuff if you completed it. And then May 20th to the 31st, tying into the Black Widow movie that was supposed to come out then, but didn't.
So unfortunate.
That sucks, but you know, it is what it is.
From a guy who plays a lot of the other Marvel games, a lot of them had those promos rolling out when things were supposed to originally drop. Like I remember Marvel Strike Force having Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's not out for 6 months, guys. Okay.
Yeah, it was the same in the comics. Like they don't even tell the people at the comics. Like the Falcon and Winter Soldier and U.S. Agent comic came out way before the show came out.
I think I actually had to avoid spoilers on Future Fight. If I remember, there's this story, there's a heroic mission. It actually contains significant spoilers.
I remember that in Future Fight. I was like, oh, because that came out in 2020 when Black Widow was supposed to come out. They were like, we did it. It's going out on time. And I remember playing it, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to fight another Black Widow. Who's Red Guardian? What?
Nice. So right after Reskyra Protocols ended, May 20th to the 31st was the Red Room Takeover event, which introduced these red harm rooms with techno lava that you could kick enemies into. It was fine. The best part about that was that if you completed it, you got like 2 exotics on every character, which was fun.
I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, and they furthering their also like rework of loot, where basically their motto on that so far has just been give everyone more. Like that's the fix. But anyway, we also got with that update the champion system, which was the first sign of endgame becoming a thing. It was basically you level past 50, you get a champion point. And also with that, heroes catalysts, the XP boosts were put into the marketplace. And we also got a roadmap update, which put specific months on the Cosmic Cube for June. And War for Wakanda was still like summer. They didn't have a specific month for that yet. And then the MCU outfits in the marketplace also started to happen at this point. So that was Red Room Takeover.
See, okay. I wish I'd read more into what you get from Red Room. I came back to the game when that was going on. Jumped in with Black Widow. Was like, I'm going to go level up Kate instead. And that's when we started leveling up Kate. And I didn't look at the rewards for Red Room because I did like 2 of them. I'm like, well, this is solo and annoying. I'm not doing this. I didn't look at what the rewards.
That was another weird thing is like on the mission chain, it said you can only do it alone. And it said that you got exotics, that you got like 2 exotics for completing it. But nowhere did it mention that you got 2 exotics for every single character once you complete the mission chain, which I feel like would have.
I mean, I got stuff to say about their single-player objective stuff, but we'll talk about that in a minute because you're about to close up here. We'll do our commercial break and then do our free-form talk for 20. So go.
Sure. So I'll do a rapid fire here because we're basically at present day now. June 22nd, 2021. The Cosmic Cube comes out right on time. It brings the new villain sector beating the odds with the brand new boss fight, which is a lot of fun, I think. And it has some weekly rewards.
Don't do it at level 4, power level 40. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, it has a DPS check, so don't do that. Also,
it's
another
2
like
hours
this.
Trying to pass that. Like, what am I doing wrong?
This to me was like the first sign of like, oh, good endgame content that's actually fun. And then the day after that, June 23rd, 2021, we got another roadmap update where they finally are not sticking to time. They delayed patrol mode. They completely knocked it off and replaced it with the Omega level threat family reunion, which is going in July in the place of the patrol mode, which is coming sometime after War for Wakanda. It'll probably be on the next roadmap.
I'm annoyed by that because if you look at the future Wastelands mission, it is built for patrol. Why?
Sure.
Why would you not push the mission back or something?
They have said that it's actually going to be bigger than whatever you play in a single level as well. So I think that played into it, where it's like they want to give us these massive spaces. And I'm not being funny. Without a rejoin mechanic, you go in there with 4 friends. You're like, hey, we can spend hours in here, and he's gone.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute because that has ruined some things already.
Yeah,
and then we're caught up there. Or no, keep going.
Not yet. There's a couple more things. And also just to finish up on the patrol mode, another reason that they did say for the delay was I think that they want to introduce it with more than just the Wastelands. They want it to be like the Wastelands in maybe New York or something. But don't like take my word for that. I don't remember if that's exactly what they said. But anyway, a month later, right on time, July 27th, 2021. This was like last week. The Omega Level Threat Family Reunion was released. It is essentially a Tachyon Rift version of the Family Reunion mission from Kate's Taking Aim operation with a harder, definitely super fun boss fight of Super Daptoid, but like there's 3 of them now. And this has been lauded as the first endgame content as it's gated behind a power level 145 requirement. This update also brought multiplayer mega hives, so removing the single player requirement from the mission, which is great. And Temporal Assault, which is the event that allows you to play as multiple heroes at the same time, is also now a permanent feature. And then August 17th, 2021 is when War for Wakanda is supposed to come out. And that's it, folks.
So before we go into our free-form talk about all of this and what we've thought and what the current state of the game is, let me have a little gap here for the commercial break. Today's podcast is sponsored by Honey. Honey is a free browser extension that is designed to save you money. Honey automatically scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best ones that it finds to your cart to save you money. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online, ranging from tech and gaming products to popular fashion brands and even food delivery. Honey has helped 17 million members save more than $2 billion. Just click the Apply Coupons button on the extension at checkout and watch the savings roll in. I've been using Honey every time that I shop online. Honey helped me save on my recent Walmart order by getting me free shipping. If you don't already have Honey, you could straight up be missing out on free savings. It's literally free and it installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid in supporting this podcast. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/experiment. That's at joinhoney.com/experiment. Thanks, Honey, for supporting today's episode. And now it's closed. We're out of the adverse. Welcome back to the show. No ad plays on Twitch, so they always get to see the weird pause in the middle. All right, so yeah, so overall, I'll kick off this part of the talk. This is the more free form, so we can do our last 20 minutes here. First, I'm going to answer one big question everyone has. Is the game still broken? Generally, no, but yes. So I clocked in and I counted the hours to see, because I had multiple people popping in and out of my party for the entire weekend. This was the first weekend, that 4x XP weekend, that I said I'm going to be playing like 20 hours. I'm going to level everyone up and prep for War of Wakanda. So I had a total of 18 hours or so logged in. We had 3 people disconnect total in that time span. I had a total of 2 crashes. The thing that made it the worst was one of my crashes was on the Omega Level Threat right at the ending. So 2 of us crashed due to particle effects. So generally, yes, you'll get... It used to be to the point where it was almost a game of can we make it to the end of any mission and have all
drop zones. The 3-minute mission. Can we get there?
Yeah, exactly. Now, oh, Benji DC, did he get loot? No? Damn. So that is not that bad anymore, but it still crashes far more than you would want your matchmaking 4-player game to crash.
Right.
So I want to get that out there. How do you guys feel about the current state of crashing and stuff?
I think also like a lot of the work that they've gone into in fixing bugs was for the game-breaking ones that stopped progression of the campaign.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, I haven't gone back and done campaign replay, but I haven't heard really anyone complain about not being able to actually play the game. So
no, campaign replay seems to be pretty solid now. I'm actually, because I'm not campaign replaying, I'm playing it again on Xbox, and that I've not had anything go wrong so far, and I'm on the I'm literally on the bit after Thor, so I didn't get stuck on that. So,
other than that, bug-wise, there's some graphical glitches. They don't seem to break the game too much. Like you'll fall through the floor for a second. Kamala's arm still seems to stretch across the world.
Yeah. I will say a lot of the bugs I've experienced have been with multiplayer. Like when I'm playing alone, and I don't know if this is just because I'm used to the weird quirks this game has at this point, but. Yeah. Like, I don't notice anything, like the not game-breaking, but like the mission-breaking bug that I had for months at launch was I could never do a Snowy Tundra Vault, because every time I would load in after I opened the first chest, my game would crash completely. and I was just not able to do that mission until I think March of this year. So that was annoying.
I do want to say, going from PC to PlayStation and back to PC, I had no issues with the PlayStation version. All of my bugs and issues have been on PC. So
that's my tinfoil hat moment. I wonder why Xbox keeps crashing.
I leveled up Kate and my buddy leveled up Clint. We did the entire story for both of them and leveled to like 40-ish. No issues at all. Zero. No graphics, no crashing, no nothing. So I go to PC and it's like now the running gag of like, is this that one time in 4 hours?
Going back to what you actually said about the OLTs and one thing, and you saying about the state of the game in the butt, I think there is one thing, and this is one thing I said about the OLTs. I actually think they came out too early. And I know that's like really controversial because everyone's like, hey, we need more content. You delayed Patrol. You've delayed this. We've not had the multiplayer mega highs. We haven't had all this. And I think what they were saying is like the biggest thing what the developers actually said to us, I think in one of the dev streams, like, we want to get it to a state where it doesn't crash and people don't keep leaving and keep doing this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, it's load better than it was 9 months ago, for sure. Completely agree with that. But we're still in the scenario now where a crash when someone specific, especially on PC, like with someone specific like PC, if it doesn't run that well or their internet goes down, and all these things that can happen, those issues, yes, they are annoying and that they get in the way of multiplayer gameplay. But if you had a rejoin mechanic,
right,
the majority of those are annoyances at best. It's like, oh, damn, okay, all right, we'll wait, we'll reset the checkpoint, you'll come in, we'll do it again, we'll just carry on go. And I don't mean like, hey, guys, we did all the work, come and join us for the last bit to get all the loot. I mean, I was in the game, let me back in the game.
Like, have like a timer, 10-minute timer on a rejoin mechanic or something like that. Like, I actually don't understand that because we did OLT and we did it just as we got to 145. So we were massively unprepared. It was like, hey, we just got here. Let's just jump in and see what this is. It took us like an hour to get to the war bot because we're under-leveled. We don't know what we're doing. Like, we're totally winging it.
I don't mind that, though, because that's got that Destiny raid feel, right? It's like, wait, hold on. What are we supposed to hit? Are we supposed to do this? Is that a mechanic?
And I loved it. I did. I was having a blast. We beat the war bot. We moved into the next area. One guy DC'd at the war bot, and we were like, well, can he rejoin? No, they didn't fix that. And then it was like, all right, well, maybe the boss is next. And we just kept going, and we got to the final boss. And like everyone was like, all right, we're gonna stack all the buffs right here. And I remember it because I was on Kate, and I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna do the invisibility. I'll put the arrow sucky thing. That's what we call the arrow that pulls everyone in. Arrow sucky thing. I'm gonna do the arrow sucky thing. Put invincibility on all of you. You drop a healing arrow. You do your thing, and I watch them all go off, and my game goes.
Too much.
Too many particles.
And I do not have a bad computer. Like, I have a 2080 Ti. I've got, I don't even top of my head. I need a new one. But it is like, last year was supercomputer powering NASA. So, I mean, NASA was shut down like 20 years ago. So anything can power NASA. But
that's also another thing. Is like this game is like not optimized well, and it has continued to not really be optimized well. But you know, that's a different thing. That's
I think what that shows is Crystal Dynamics knows how to make a PlayStation game. That's what I think it shows.
I think it definitely shows that they do one thing really well, which is, and a lot of people, like, you get fandoms go, like MCU comics, this isn't like this isn't like that. Why does that not look like Robert Downey Jr.? Because licensing. They are great at recrafting stories. We saw that with Tomb Raider. Absolutely. I like how they reinvented Tomb Raider and how that came out. And I really like how they have put their own spin on it despite the fandoms doing these things. But multiplayer seems to be a weakness at this point where, like you say, the optimizations are actually the majority of them fall around that now. So they've been able to fix the single player stuff, and you've got that story, and you've got people focusing on these really cool narratives and creating different things and pulling from different places. But yeah, that optimization definitely, it's painful when you've got those situations because you're like, I want this to work really well. There are other issues with the game fundamentally, but then these things stopping you at every given turn when you're trying to get that one bit of loot, it's painful.
Oh, you could tell that they're good at doing narrative single player games. Like that's what they're good at. And Square just didn't have a live service company under their belt, so they were like, hey, you guys are great at making games. You should have this. Like, what do you think of its current brokenish state? And then we're going to go into the positives to end with. We're not going to end on a negative note. There's definitely positives to talk about here. I've not been playing almost every day again because it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's at this point, like, the bugs that I've experienced don't, you know, they come across as like little things that are like, oh, that's funny, we fell through the floor, let's just restart and it's fine. But nothing at this point where like my game is crashing every time I load it up, or I can't progress a mission because of such and such. I think, Bob, what you said, like a rejoin mechanic is really the biggest thing that's needed, because like I was tanking a Final Fantasy 14 dungeon the other day, and my power went out for like a minute, and I had to wait for like 10 minutes for my internet to kick back on and my computer, like everything to you know, murmur back to life. And I logged into Final Fantasy, sat in queue for like a minute, and then loaded right back into the dungeon. And my party member's like, oh, he's back. And I was like, oh, yeah, sorry, my power went out. Yeah. They were just like, okay, cool. And we just kept going.
Final Fantasy system is you have to kick out the AFK person.
Right.
So if it's your friends and they know you're coming back, you could just come right back. Like, there's no issue.
Right.
Even randoms normally have like a 10-minute rule. Oh, wait.
Yeah. And that was the first time that had happened to me. I was surprised because like I thought it would have just like kicked me out of the dungeon, and I would have, you know, that's it. You know, that's life.
So 10 minutes of raging whilst it's waiting to come back on, and then
right, exactly.
We're good.
Oh, cool, I'm back. But yeah, that's really what I think would, like, it is kind of a Band-Aid solution, but it's also like a Band-Aid solution that every other game has for a reason.
Yeah.
I've said that on multiple things, because that's what irritates me about games sometimes, when you get kicked and I can't pull you into a mission. You know, like if you look, I get it. If you're having multiplayer issues, if you just have a rejoin feature, like Bob said, I'll be annoyed, but I ain't gonna go raging and not want to do another Omega level threat. You know, like
yeah,
it won't stop me from playing the game. Those crashes don't stop me from playing games. If they did, I wouldn't play games. I'd be outside. I'd be a lot thinner. But yeah, it's. Yeah, no, I think the thing is as well is like weirdly as well, rejoin mechanics for me, I play a lot of Apex. So that game's notorious for crashing. So that's great fun. I play all the games that crash. Basically
trend.
But if you disconnect in that game, or like the game crashes or anything like that, you have the opportunity to join back into the game. And that for me, if one of my friends disconnects, that's a layer of extra like danger. I'm like, oh, is he gonna die? Let me punch him into a corner for a second. Like, what's gonna happen? Actually, it's never into a corner. It's usually off a cliff. But like, that's neither here nor there.
Oh, you're that guy. Got it.
To be honest, I'm usually the guy it happens to, but streamer, isn't it? It tends to happen. But that sort of thing, it adds a layer of like, okay, well, we've got to survive. Like in a raid scenario, there's like, we've got to survive until this person comes back and they can like give us that like, you know, that DPS buff, or you know, like they can come back and heal us. We've got to keep our shields. Stuff like that. That actually adds to a game, not just because of the mechanic, but because of the experience, right? So I'd love to see stuff like that. I do think, and although I love the Omega level threat, and I've finally tailored my stupidly like built Iron Man for like, oh, a glass cannon. This would be great. Let's go do this. The only piece of content in the game requires you to have defense. I'm like, I am not ready for this. Going into that and then we had the same scenario the first time I played. Well, actually, sorry, similar scenario. I match made for the first one. I was like, hey, I'm just going to go into it and see what this whole experience is like, see how it works. We got through, someone crashed, we saw the DC go, and we were like, okay, great. They're not going to rejoin. Okay, 3 people. This is going to be fun. And that was around about the Warbot area. We've gone back in and we got into the Omega level threat. No one crashed. But because 3 people who were not ready for this content and not prepared or how to fight or how to like deal with these scenarios, one of them ended up leaving. And then we were in a scenario going, okay, this is 2 of us. We couldn't do it with 3. And I got to a scenario, I was just like, look, I'm going to stick it out for as long as this other guy sticks it out. I'm going to stay in here, and we're just going to go through this cycle. And we did our best, but you're just fundamentally not ready for that kind of, like, because it should be difficult. But
I think it would help with their matchmaking, too. Like, they're always trying to get you to start a mission, but if matchmaking let you jump mid-mission on things, it would fix a lot of problems. Like, the matchmaking is my other biggest complaint right now. I'll leave it open for the minute. It doesn't find anyone. Like,
I do think the Tachyon anomaly massively, the permanent selecting like heroes, that massively helps the experience. That was great, and that was the thing that I like. And I get immersion. I love immersive games. This is a game where I play the same mission over and over and over again. I beat the same abomination. It's not even the same abomination. This is like clone 8 billion. Like,
I like when they make those posts. The community has killed 2 million Taskmaster clones. What?
Yeah, like, whoa,
dude,
excuse
no,
me?
that's not the thing you think it is. No, you're saying it's good. We're all saying, where's the other boss? But I think that's the thing. It's like I think I can suspend my disbelief for long enough to go, oh look, hey, multiverse.
Yeah,
right.
Well,
and that's exactly how they describe it.
I actually got a friend to play the game because of that being a permanent fix. Because he's like, I only want to play these 2 characters, and you already have people in your group who play those characters. And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. You can be whoever you want now. Like,
there's so many people who don't know about, and that's the thing, is starting the game, having the live service launch like that, and then not having that as a mechanic. Like, imagine like not being able to play as any other class in any other so say if you had Destiny, one of you had to play Hunter, one of you had to play Titan, one of you had to play Warlock. There was no choice between you. You couldn't do it. You had to do it like that.
I mean, I get what you're saying,
so
like, but the whole game, the game's first story is Tachyon anomalies. I feel like right out of the gate, they're gonna, okay, look, you guys can be whoever you want, and in a month, the story's gonna come out that makes it all make sense.
Which, like, it doesn't even need to. Like, who cares? Like, just let us play, like you were saying, Bob, like, we're playing the same mission over and over again. Not every mission has to be canon. Like, the entirety of Overwatch, the game, is not canon to its story. The entirety of that game.
Died.
Right. So, like, it doesn't, nobody cares. Like, we understand
especially
that
when it's a live
things in
service game
cutscenes
like
are
this.
canon.
Like,
I'd argue that I would argue the point that I think a lot of people care, but I don't think that still warrants not doing that in a live service game.
I mean, Bethesda with ESO did that. They rewrote the entire Elder Scrolls history with Elder Scrolls Online to make it more functional for a multiplayer game. And they're just, and everyone's like, "You're ruining the lore." And they're like, "Crickets. Oh, we're not responding to that. Here's the game."
I just feel like I feel like the executives just turn around and goes, "It's an MMO."
Right.
What do you want
so let's
to do?
talk about positives then, because that was one of the first big things. Because I got so many people to play the game based on, don't worry, be who you want to be. You don't have to worry about if I'm picking them or if I have a backup character. You be who you want to be. Because early on, that was a problem. I started off by being Black Widow. Now, when we got through the end of the beta, I was like, I'm Black Widow. I like how she plays. But up until the beta, everyone picked every other character. Like, I can't be Iron Man. I can't be Thor. I can't be Hulk. So at the end of the day, like, my group, because I have a raid group for a lot of games, it just turned into, well, you all picked I guess I'm Black Widow. Yay. And then by the end of the beta, I'm like, this is the coolest. No one touched my Black Widow. But, like, that was definitely a huge fix. Loot, I know you were going to mention loot's a problem. I actually don't mind the loot system. In comparison to other MMOs in live service games that I play, okay? Now, hold on. Before I go in to try to answer your question here, what is your complaint with the loot system?
My complaint is the loop. It's not actually necessarily the specific piece of loot, although I would love more variety. I think everybody would like more stuff, right? But I mean, I'm prepared to wait for more stuff. Every time we've seen a event or something released, we've seen new gear with new perks and stuff like that, and I think that's great. I'm happy. I'm happy with it where it's progressing, albeit slowly. The loop is what's bothered me. So when I log on, and I might be speaking from a different angle than other people, but if I want to log on to this game, I've been playing it relatively casually, just like I do play it a lot, but I haven't been focusing on too much stuff until just recently, like builds. So I've been playing it and going, hey, I'm going to go do this and go do that. But then I'll play for like 6 hours on stream. I'll do like 6 hour stint, and then I'll be like, okay, well, that's everything. All my rituals done. There's nothing else to do except grind that mission for probably not as good as loot, because it's not these exotics with these special perks and all these sort of things. So I've had nothing extra to do. I love the combat, but then there's there's always a limit to what you can like go, okay, right, I can laser and missile and repulsor beam this same group of enemies, and I can enjoy the combat, but I can't keep doing it with nothing to go, oh, hey, you completed it. It's dopamine for me. It's literally like, did I fill a bar? Did I get a thing to pop up? Did I get an extra level? Champion system was fantastic for that for me. I was like, yes, give me more levels to go up. That's what I love, like that whole idea, and then making them stronger for endgame and everything like that. But it didn't kind of fulfill it. But I do have hope for it in the sense that literally, like today, the reset, they're allowing us to run Mega Hives and the Omega level threat 3 times a week. And so instead of 4 exotics, it's 12. And think about it, you could do it on different characters. We'll edit that, right? Come on.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, CG
Getting really
punching
passionate.
It shatters.
But the we could have that on different characters, and they have spoken to the fact that they would love to do these ritual like missions per character. So say for example, I don't have to choose every week and go, I'm going to run the Omega level threat with Iron Man and the Mega Hive with Iron Man. That's it for a week, and then next week I have to decide who I want to play with. So for a live service game, if you want to keep playing, you want to keep giving these hardcore players who will consistently keep playing your game something to do, and that's just not there right now. This week, I think will be an interesting test, because if we do it 3 times, then we're like, oh, well, we've got all of that. Oh yeah, boy, we got all the other missions that we used to do as well. But if you do it per character, that starts to change things up, because then you're not only encouraging people to play the game more, you're actually going, hey, try these other characters out. Go enjoy a different character. And then you're like, hold on, my Black Widow isn't leveled. I need to go and level up the character. I need to go and level up the gear, and then I need to get them endgame ready. Then I can do the endgame content. So it's like that cycle then. So you're creating a loop that doesn't currently exist.
Okay, I can see that argument with it. Coming from a guy who plays other live service games, I thought your complaint was more the drop rate, because I got a buddy who's like, I can't level because it won't drop the hammer or things like that. And I'm like, this game drops a lot more stuff than any other game I play. I'll go out of like a Destiny raid and I might have 3 or 4 items, you know, or strike, and like, I think the reason why Destiny works really well with it, and this game has problems with it, is exactly what you said, the exotic loop. There is something you can farm with a chance at an exotic, to keep farming to get the exotic to get a different roll on it. So I could see that being an issue. And I do agree, it does need more stuff to do endgame-wise. But I will say, very few people got to where like you and Dylan are, where you're like 150 on 90% of the characters with 12 exotics. The fact that I can't get matchmaking to work tells you the community's at a kind of a low. I'm not just taking a stab at it. I kind of like having my group of friends to play with, but it is at a somewhat of a low period. So I don't think you have as many people at your guys' tier trying to get that.
Oh, totally. Like, I mean, my problem with the loot is I think that there were 2 problems with it, right? Is like at first you couldn't get exotics. There was like a 2% chance to get an exotic on a mission that was increased to like a 10% chance once a week. And I think they fixed that. Like, you are able to get exotics at a consistent and expected rate now that is good enough to where, like, if I want an exotic and I want to grind for it, I can. And also they fixed, like, exotics are actually worth it now, in terms of stats, just because, like, before it was like 5 more points in a stat, or sometimes it was bugged and it was less than a legendary. Now they fixed that. My problem with the loot is that I don't think half of the exotics are worth it at all in terms of like what they do to change your character's playstyle. Like Kate Bishop is kind of the only character who has hero exotics specific to her that actually change things about her. Hawkeye has some of it. Like one of his exotics gives him an extra charge of like Nightstorm Arrow. But like Kate Bishop, I have mine built with certain exotics where I can like just teleport around everywhere, and it's great, and I can only do that because of the gear that I have. But my concern is like they seem to love these easier exotics to make, of just adding more status damage. Here's a new type of status damage. Wowee, it'll combo, and you can do all this kind of stuff. That's like all you're doing is adding particle effects and increasing a bar faster on an enemy, and like that's not interesting. And Like that's with the Omega level threat. I don't really want to judge future content drops on that because I really do think them pushing that out was just like a panic mode. Like we don't want the July part of the roadmap to be completely empty because we have to delay patrol.
Yeah, I think they're at a point where they just don't want there to be another. We've had 3 months of no content. What the hell?
Right.
You know,
exactly.
I just don't want that anymore.
So, but like the Omega set of gear the Omega set of exotics that they released with the Omega level threat, like it's so underwhelming. Like all it is just more cosmic damage, and it's like I don't care. Like give me something.
I care. I don't even have one exotic yet.
Sure, but all you're hunting for, like this is what we were hunting for months ago.
I agree,
where it was just like
that's
I
why
want
I have YouTube,
the
because
orange
YouTube been
color.
playing it a lot longer than me. Because I'm sitting here like I'm having so much fun. Gears dropping out the ass. This is amazing. I got skills everywhere. I could finally play with my friends, and everyone came back. This game's gotten amazing, and I've been playing pretty consistently. And you two are like, so I never left.
We're grizzled.
Oh, okay, so let's talk loot.
Because it's like, right, it's Bob and I are at the point now where it's like we've gotten our characters we've gotten them over the threshold of the power 130. Yeah, we're in the end game now.
And I agree, and that's why I wanted you two here, because otherwise it would just be me sitting here with like Dan being like, Dan, so you're level 20. What do you think? Isn't it fun?
Which, I mean, there's definitely something to say about both ends of the spectrum there. And like most of the player base is where you are, Benny, where it's just they're playing through the campaign and they just got through it.
And they're like a 6-year-old. So cool!
Yeah, which is great. But like there's so much precedent set for a game like this. Star Wars The Old Republic, other games. If you don't have Endgame fleshed out...
Did you go from one title to other game? You could have been like Star Wars The Old Republic, Final Fantasy 14, Destiny, Anthem, Division 2. Like, that's just 5 off the top of my head in the live service pantheon.
That's what you're here for. I don't play as many of those. I played Tor for 4 years, and that was it. But, like... If you don't, like, the people who are going to pay money for your game and continue to play it past the content that you have available for the leveling process, are the people who want that end game. They're going to stick around for end game. And if it's not there, then you're going to lose them. And I think, like I'm very, very, very interested to see the hero exotics that Black Panther has, and if they add more hero exotics for the other characters. Because, like... Kate Bishop's exotics are fantastic. She has the Tachyon exotics and all of those too, which aren't great in my opinion. But her hero exotics that actually change the way that she plays are great. And really none of the other characters have that. Like Black Widow sort of, like she has the one that makes you crit always when you're invisible and shooting someone in the back, which is fun. That's like a change. But like Captain America, I wanted to build as a tank. And all of his exotics don't do anything for that. And all of the endgame content so far has told me that I am not allowed to be a tank. Because both fights have DPS checks. The Omega level threat, if you don't have enough DPS to beat that thing, it becomes damn near impossible to complete. So, like, am I useless now? that's my issue with the loot.
I was like, I agree, and I just want to keep moving this along here because we're way over the time we were supposed to be coming to a close here. I'd say one of the other big fixes that I have enjoyed about this game is I never understood why the first raid that came out, that's what the Mega Hive was single player. I never understood why that was, why would you do that? The first piece of big content, solo.
Well, they did actually, this is the thing is, like, I don't think it's a reason, but they did give an explanation, which was this whole, every time we try and do it on our builds as a multiplayer thing, people keep dropping out. And that's the thing, and everybody keeps dropping out, and that's the thing they had to fix. That was like a post fixing all of these launch bugs and spending like 6 months fixing everything that was broken on launch was, hey, how do we fix this one core issue, which admittedly isn't perfect yet. I mean, it's way better than it was, but it's not perfect yet. And it was to get that there. And I think they're now, as you've said, they're at a point where they're like, we actually just got to release this. We just got to get it out, because it's better to get it out and go, okay, we'll fix it, rather than will not give you anything for 3 months and not saying anything for 3 months because people are going to just drop off like flies.
Yeah.
That said, the way...
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, the way they've approached the lead up with this content is amazing. Just to focus on a positive, like free weekend for PlayStation and Steam and all of that. Steam went up to like 10k concurrent, and I know for a lot of live service games that's not fantastic, but for this game, for where we've sat at like 500 concurrent for such a long period of time, going up to 10k for a week, and I've seen so many people get involved in it and want to do it, it's great. Because now you're going, okay, well, we gave you 4 times XP so you can level all your heroes ready for Wakanda. Great. There's a sale on... I got, on my Xbox and PlayStation, I spent 20 quid and I got 30 cosmetic pieces, which would usually have cost me, I don't know, almost... I think I worked it out. It's like 280 quid, like, for all of the pieces, and I got it for 20. That's fantastic. These kind of things, like giving us these XP boosts, showing us the new systems, getting us an OLT, although it is a bit buggy, but when you finally get into it, it is working. You can enjoy it as a thing that you have to build towards. You have to actually build, like you say. Unfortunately, it is a DPS check. I want to see more beating the odds, because that's a fantastic piece of content.
Yes.
Narratively.
Absolutely.
And built mechanically. I actually love it. It uses some of the mechanics from the rest of the game, which honestly I hate. Like, there's some pieces in there where, like, oh, I do not want to sit on this pad for another minute. And then, like, hold on, pad, but then you've got to destroy, you only standing on the pad to unlock the thing so you can destroy those objects, just open up the cube, and it's all filtered in together. That stuff, at an OLT level, going to be great. That's why I'm excited for it. I don't judge it by the OLT, I judge it by beating the odds, but harder. So all of this stuff that they're doing leading up to it, and then we've got... Right now, they're letting us like do this extra exotic grind. It's like, yay, open up the loophole. Better to open up the loophole and say, that's it, you can only do this once a week, and then we'll see you again on Thursday. Like, it's
I mean, a lot of other games do that. They do. Like,
yeah, just go ahead, like just have everything, and we'll sort it out later.
Yeah, that's kind of what CD's
just go nuts.
Yeah, we're
but
gonna
that gets people playing.
Because like a Destiny, you get 1 role per character. You're maxed at 3 characters. So if you run the raid, and you could also cheese it and just pull the other characters into the last boss only, so it's not really like you're really farming. You fight all the way in 1 character, then I bring your buddies in. Hey, you guys want a free shot at the loot?
I think that's what they're worried. I feel like that's what Avengers are worried about, but I don't feel like that's ever going to be a problem, because it's like, look, just give us the even if you give us the rejoin, then it's going to solve a shed ton of issues.
Yeah.
Just get them all out of the way.
Mid-mission joining, I get the concern that people are going to abuse it, but the fact is they will abuse it. Just accept it and move on.
Yeah, completely.
People are going to, game the system. They're going to find exploits no matter what. Like, it's the fact of the matter is like the Mega Hive, when it came out, was a 3-hour mission of the same stuff over and over again.
If you were leveled enough, like, that's the thing, because if you were under-leveled and you weren't really ready for what it was going to take. Point. And if you have 1 character that can enter it at the time, was it 140, I think was the entry level? 130. That dies, that's it. You're right back to the start.
Yeah, right. That's why I didn't like it. I got to do it once with my Black Widow, and it was like, oh, I have to go level up 4 more characters or something to make this really viable. And I don't like that there's nothing else to do, so I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Confession for me, I played it twice until they did multiplayer. I didn't do the Mega Hive. I just didn't do it. I
think I did it. I think I also did it 2 or 3 times. Like a lot of the exotics I want are gated through that, and I was like, I'll roll with the legendary version of those exotics because I don't want to do that. But like in the OLT recently is another thing, is like, if you just don't have that rejoin feature, like you sink like an hour and a half to maybe 3 hours back at the Mega Hive, and someone drops out and they can't come back, that's rough.
Yeah.
Well, I like that they've now made it shorter and split it up into 4 parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a nice fix for that, and that's where I think it is. I don't think we're at the point of this is like, oh my god, an amazing game. But a lot of people have asked, should I start Avengers or come back to Avengers? And I tell them, if you just want to play the single player story at this point between Kate and Clint, you get a really good Avengers storyline and a Hawkeye storyline, and you got like 25 to 30 hours of content. My biggest issue that I still have with the game is they keep trying to do single player content, and I don't like in the multiplayer side. I don't mind them having a clear divide on these two, but I just want my multiplayer to be multiplayer, like Red Room. I didn't want that to be single player, because I despise single player content in a multiplayer game because it's never good. That's
Yeah.
it. If I have to do a single player mission in a multiplayer game, it's not good, and I'm gonna go play a single player narrative game.
It's
So I
the
never
water
know.
level of every multiplayer game.
It's the what?
No one wants to do it. It's the water level.
Yeah.
There's always a water level, and you just don't.
Destiny's got the whole going solo flawless on a mission. It gives you this special reward. And everyone's like, Benny, why haven't you done it? I'm like, because it's boring. I don't want to do it for 3 hours. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you buy this game for $20 and you play from the basic campaign all the way through to the beating the odds mission, that's worth it. Like,
Yeah.
that's a solid amount of content.
And
by the time you're done with
story.
it,
It
right,
goes
exactly.
through the whole arc. Yeah, there's a couple threads of future content, but it's not like the old school Destiny thing where they're just like, here's a bunch of creepy lore and it means nothing.
You get
Go
like
read the
you
book.
No, you get a full Avengers plot, completely done. You
get issues 1 through 5 and issue 6 and 7 epilogue.
Yeah.
And then War for Wakanda, we got issue 8 starting it up. So like you got a good jumping on
How
point
long does
very
it take you
soon.
to read a comic?
Well, no, I'm just like, it's the story arc. I'm talking in story arc terms.
Okay, I'm just saying. If you're taking 25 hours to read the equivalent of a trade, Dylan, I think I need to hire someone else to do comic shit.
I'm saying this
No
amount of
wonder I don't get
content is a
videos
trade
from
and
you
a
for
half.
4 months. You're just sitting there like, I just opened up my comic, The Spider
Hey,
Man.
to be fair, I'm pretty sure you read comics at a breakneck speed that nobody else does.
I do.
But yeah, I would say, like, to echo something, Bob, you were saying earlier, like, the beating the odds villain sector, I think that and Kate Bishop as a character, not entirely like her operation that came out with her, but those 2 pieces of content is what this game should be going forward.
Yeah.
Like interesting boss fights that don't take too long and aren't like entirely difficult to the point where, like, because my problem with the OLT right now is if you actually do the mechanics and you don't just DPS, like, laser the guy down before he even starts the mechanics, then it's just too much happening. Like, there's you can't
don't know what you
stand
die from.
anywhere. Like, you just, it's a nightmare. But like the Monica boss fight, like, it has a DPS check in it just to say, like, is your gear good enough? And I beat it as Captain America with my tank build, throwing my shield at her. So, like, that, like, you can do it, and I was doing that alone. So my other, like, they weren't exactly being efficient, the computer people. So, like, it's clearly, yeah, they were over there, like, shooting a wall when Monica was.
This looks menacing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's clear, like you have to be geared up, but the point of the mission is not the gear. It's like, can you survive through these mechanics that are actually interesting, that build up as a video game level should build up.
Yeah.
And they're not like, you know, it's not tedious. It's not annoying. I don't want to rip my hair out, Trek, because 30,000 explosives spawn under me and I don't know what's going on.
It's like, hold on, the floor is lava. Hold on, the walls are lava. Hold on, the sky is lava. Everything's lava.
Is lava bleeding from my veins?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think this game is like, you know, Family Reunion, the OLT is like kind of a misstep, I think, but I'm really hoping that you know, beating the odds as like, that was actual planned stuff as part of, you know, the Cosmic Cube event and everything. I hope that is the direction they're going towards. And along the way, they'll fix the cosmetics, they'll fix the loot, they'll, you know, do all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of live service games go through this where they come out with what they think is what the consumer is going to want. And then they slowly start figuring it out. Like, a lot of people like to make the joke of, oh, I'll play that game in a year or two. But the Ubisoft model of doing that actually works.
Yeah.
Like, look at what happened to Siege. Look at what happened. Like, I'm trying to think of I mean, I can think of a whole bunch of them, but like Division. Look what happened to any Ubisoft live service game. They come out one way, they fix it for a year, and then it's good.
I think they'd even say, you could even argue that there's literally every live service. Destiny.
Taken
King.
Taken King's what redeemed it. Yeah.
Yeah, Taken King is literally the format of games will redeem themselves in a year. Like, it's like, I think that's where a lot of that comes from. Final Fantasy 14? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think 14 is like the first and grandest example of that has not been beaten since. Like, they just made a new game. They were like, oh, my bad, let's just do a different one. Yeah, exactly.
Can we
Like, that
ignore
was
this? This is lore now. This is lore.
Yeah, exactly. This entire game that you spent 6 years working on is a cutscene now that plays at the beginning of my game. Hi, I'm Yoshi P.
The great thing you could do with Marvel, though, you could just explain that stuff away. Just go, hey,
Yeah, totally.
It's fine.
And it's a comic book, and they have the exact like War for Wakanda being seemingly so disconnected from what has been happening is like perfect.
I have a feeling
it's like a jumping on point.
They haven't said anything about this, but I have a weird feeling War of Wakanda is going to be like 8 to 10 missions solo as Black Panther. I really feel like they're going to lean into the solo.
I think the reason it's called an expansion is not because it's going to have a lot of content, and this is what I'm hoping for, and I don't want to be disappointed, but I probably will be, is because it's an expansion on the campaign. Like the Hawkeye and Kate Bishop missions we got are just multiplayer missions with some voice lines and some cutscenes.
Yep.
But like in the campaign, we got like the Captain America escape scene, the infamous like bridge mission that starts it. Like those are like single player, like really, really fun, like scripted
The DCMA
content.
music with Iron Man.
Yeah.
Don't play the laptop because Seer will get you. I did that, and I tell you what, I've never dropped audio quicker in my life. It was just like, no, I don't want to hear Chandelier. I don't need to. It's fine. I think you got a really good point there around like in fact that leads to something I want to kind of like. I think expansion and operations are very good ways of addressing these things. Because I don't know, because the core part of the game that we talked about, like the thing I most enjoy is the combat. So I like the story that occurs and how it feeds into the narrative on the operations, but I actually just like the characters. Every time they drop, like when they dropped Kate, I was like, oh wow, she plays really, really cool. Yeah. This is really interesting. I found myself using the sword more than anything else. It's like, she's an archer, use the sword. But with like Hawkeye, and then Hawkeye comes out.
Why wouldn't you? Like, I can shoot the arrow or me.
You just gave me Nightcrawler and Psylocke with sass. Like, this is brilliant. Like, I'm fine. But then Hawkeye come out, and everyone's fear is like, oh, it's another archer. Let's see how this plays out. And then I played him completely differently. Like, the whole idea of how that was like addressed was completely different. And seeing some of the mechanics that we've seen for Black Panther and all that sort of stuff, I'm like, I'm actually just more excited, not so much to play this story content, but just to literally dive into these characters. And I think the difference is where I'm expecting that. I think Black Panther is going to do something different, where it's going to go, hey, 8 hours of story, completely different biome, completely different approach. The story will be, I'm hoping it weaves in narrative. I hope it weaves very nicely, and I'm hoping it sets more stuff up, and we're going to see Loki, Ultron, like how is Monica still alive? Like, what the heck's going on with all that? So like, start to give us like little tangents like that.
I was like, Loki's the worst thing ever, because it's like, we know it's Loki. Why? Just show us a Loki.
I totally forgot that they teased that.
Do you want to know like a really interesting theory going around in the community though?
What's that?
So I mean, you've addressed the Ultron piece, where that the teaser or whatever happens around that piece. There is a lot of people who are suggesting a few things, that the light behind that is green, and if you look at the shot at the end, it looks interestingly like a pair of horns. I love that. I love that we're doing this. It's ridiculous, but I love that we're doing this. Like, and those are the things I want to see. I want to see like Marvel nerds sitting there going, wait, freeze the frame. What have we got here? And give us that stuff.
For me, as a Marvel nerd, that post-credit scene that teased Ultron in an actually, like, cool way. Like, obviously, you got Hank Pym, who built a robot. It's gonna become Ultron at some point. But, like, the way that they...
Can I just ask a quick question? Which DLC has that? Because I have not seen this. Because you keep saying, oh, I discovered yesterday. Apparently, I haven't finished their actual stories.
Oh, okay. It's either...
Because I get in there and it's like, go do the last missions. I'm like, I thought I did the last missions. What are you talking about?
I think
that's actually on beating the odds.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say it's not. It's a post credits for beating the odds.
You're beating it with me later. You and me.
Totally.
We're gonna beat the odds.
I love that fight, so I'll do that.
It is literally, I think if they base everything off of that, like you said, that's going to be so much fun. We get boss fights like that every time they drop something.
Yeah.
Get in. That's
Spoilers are fine. I'm fine with spoilers. Otherwise, I would have cut you off way earlier.
I mean, that's just it. It's just that they're teasing that Ultron's coming. But it's such a cool way to do something like that because it's playing it's already playing with the continuity that they have set up in their own world in interesting ways, which is why the MCU worked, which is like why comic books work in general. So to have them clearly know that they are doing something with the story and now they're able to weave the fantastic combat into the story with something like beating the odds, like that gives me hope. Like as much as I've trashed on this game today, like I'm excited for the future of this game.
I think that speaks to it though, doesn't it? Because both you and me have gone, hey, this is wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Like, oh, like how many hours you got in it? 1,000. Yeah. I mean, like I'm still playing it, and I'm literally as soon as we finish here, I'm gonna go play the new the new exotic loop, even though it's the same missions. The game has got
I won't lie, Bob,
potentially limitless potential.
During this, I had a few work things on the side there in between. Like when you guys were talking, I'd kind of go over to do the work things, and I did hit up one of my buddies and go, "Yo, you want to try running something after I'm done with this podcast?" I'm getting stoked to get back into Avengers today after this talk.
We need more of that. I like as much as I rag on it, the same thing. I love the game. I think it's the game that I want to play forever.
And I think this is a good closing point right here. I'll leave it on this thought. You guys can add to it or just not comment if you want to. But I think the fact that we can say that we have 1,000 hours, or I've got it on 2 systems that I've beat it and leveled up characters, or Dylan, you have almost all your characters at 150. Our complaints aren't because the game is bad. Our complaints is because we enjoy it so much, we want this to be better. Right. I will not play a game that I hate. Anybody who comes to my very rare and infrequent gaming streams will know that when they go, Benny, will you play this? And I go, no. Like, I just won't. I'm not stuck by a bind of having to play any game. I play what I want. If it happens to work out with a brand, cool. If it doesn't, I don't care. Like, I'm not beholden to that, and I play Avengers because I enjoy it, and the stuff that they have done has made this game incredible. It's not at a point where I would recommend it to everyone, but at this point, I can tell you, do you want to play a single-player awesome Avengers campaign that's like 20 to 30 hours long? Check out Marvel's Avengers. Do you want a game that you can BS with your buddies on a Friday night, have a couple of beers, and go beat up enemies? Check out Marvel's Avengers. Do you want a game that does both? Check out Marvel's Avengers. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with like the sentiment of like not playing a game that you hate. I like this game, and like I was in a spot with it for a while, like leading up to, and then obviously with beating the odds, it was like, this is great. Like they clearly have their heads back on, and they're releasing content that actually makes a difference and matters, and like I want to say like with the OLT. I hate that mission, but that's like piece of content that like I don't like that, and I don't like the direction that shows that they might be taking it in. So I didn't play it. I haven't gone back to try it since. I probably will try to beat it at some point, but like
you probably will today after beating Daz. Anyway,
sure. But it's like I just don't want to. If it's something that I don't want to do, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But like the stuff that I did want to do was play around with the combat and grind while I listened to a podcast. And that's what I did for 400 hours of this game. And I'm fine doing that while I wait for new content to come out, which is why, like, I don't think War for Wakanda is going to be the Taken King, the A Realm Reborn, the whatever of this game. But I think it, along with hopefully the next roadmap that'll be revealed in the War Table on August 16th, will be a good look at the future of this game, and will hopefully be able to like point us in the right direction of like, okay, we're getting monthly content drops now, and hopefully they are quality content drops, and not just like random stuff that they've thrown in. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Do you have any final thoughts, Bob, or have we said it all for you?
Probably too many, but no, I think going back to your point, like you're saying, if it's the simple value exchange for me is just right now. So I'm not gonna like say I think it's around about like 20 quid or like 30 bucks. I think you can pick the game up for. Yeah. I would, even before the operations, even before War for Wakanda comes out, I would say for 30 bucks, if you're gonna get a campaign that's like 18 like what is it? I think it's like 15 hours long that you can enjoy and then still have multiplayer and play around with the characters after. The value exchange there is massive. It's actually massive, but you've got to be willing to play a single player game and then after realize that this is a grindy game. It's a looter game, which is why I don't recommend it to everybody. I go, hey, you could love the story. As a Marvel nerd, you'll probably love this, and yeah, it's worth it. But afterwards, you've got to decide if you are that kind of person who wants to do a grindy, looty game. But add on the operations, add on the extra content, beating the odds, the Omega level threat. I hated it to start off with. Now I've learned how to like get around it and change my builds to it. I love that. I love that we can have builds and do these grindy things that can continually keep you playing. I love that I can play and basically play dress up as superheroes with my friends and just do all of that. And I think where it sits right now, where we saw it a year ago and everyone was like, oh man, this is so broken, I can't play it. And now you're like, hey, how do we fix these things to make this even better and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it? What's coming next? I can't wait to see this war table. Can't wait to see War for Wakanda. There's the potential for, if we'd known what we know now about the game back a year ago, I think everyone would like stick it out a lot longer. And I think now, knowing that we know now, I think people are prepared to invest in the game and stick it out for even longer for like stuff like Spider-Man and like all the Captain Marvel, like the new characters, the Kree storyline and all of this sort of stuff, all of that, to see all of that. And I think there's so much value and potential there. So it's not so much where it is, it's where it can be, and where it's heading is where I'm really excited for.
Yeah,
totally.
I agree with you entirely. Also, just to tag on your dress up discussion there, I spent an entire 3 missions. Every time someone saw Thor, change his outfit.
Yup, he sure did.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. A little bit longer than usual, a little bit more of an open discussion about something that we are all very passionate about. For those who are curious, next week we'll be getting back to normal. In theory, the set will be done. And we'll be back at the set doing a normal comics experiment with the comic review show, and our D&D game will be making its initial return. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing right here at twitch.tv/Comicstorian, where we do podcasting every Tuesday and Thursday. And also, please consider subscribing right here at Comicstorian or giving us a good review on your favorite podcast network. Today's sponsors are Honey.com and G Fuel, both of which have helped us create this show for you, and we thank them for taking their time to support this show. And if you want to support us and don't want to do anything I've already named, please consider checking out our sponsors. As a send-off, Dylan, where can they find you?
Over at Absolutely Marvel and DC. There'll be a link in the description, hopefully, if Benny remembers.
If Benny remembers. I was really thinking you were going to say Texas. Bob, where can they find you?
No, I don't want them to find me there.
If you're looking for me, it's Bob Duck and Weave with an N, not an and. That can get super confusing. But literally, search that anywhere and you will find me. I'm there everywhere, doing YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. I do a lot of Twitter. Be prepared.
Nice.
If you go on the Marvel Avengers tab here on Twitch, you'll find Bob Duck and Weave. So thank you guys so much for joining us for today's show, and we'll see you next time right here at the Comics Experiment.